Hey, welcome to the February 2022 monthly studio report for Broken Hammer Games, All's Fair in Dust and Air, and other projects that we're up to here. I am founder and CEO of the company, writer, a lot of stuff on this company. So, anyways, we don't have a very big report this month because we do have some good news and some sort of iffy news, but we're just going to go ahead and get right into it, and we're going to get this going. We do have a little bit to talk about, though, because there is some things that have gone down during the month of February. First of all, I would like to, of course, I've already extended it to him personally, but it's like this is official. Very big congratulations to Georgie on his wedding. This was a while coming. I mean, he got out of Russia last year, and we talked about that last year on one of the blogs, and he's basically he had been waiting for a long time to get the opportunity to have the wedding ceremony and everything, and with all the restrictions over in Italy and stuff, things were not working out. And going into February, we did not know what was going to go down. It's kind of where we were. Georgie was working on stuff, he was getting things, and all of a sudden there was an opening, and it was like the restrictions shifted or something happened. He didn't go into all the details of it, but they were going to get married, and they had to basically get the entire family together, everybody real quick to get it done. So yay, they got married. We're very happy for him. I am very happy for him. I've been rooting for him for a long time, so it's a very happy, joyous occasion. And he let me know in February or towards the start of the month that this is happening. They're going to be on the honeymoon, so he's basically going to be away from the net for a while. They decided to do that, so this is good. We give him the privacy, and I was like, "Yep, Georgie, do it. Just enjoy it. You only get this time once." Unless something else happens, but no, you only really get the first everything once, so it's like, enjoy it, man, enjoy it. Just, this is for her. You gotta do what you gotta do. Don't worry about stuff. He was working on some things. Hoping to see some things in March coming from him once he gets back. So, unfortunately, it was like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, leave of absence that was required. So, production on Dust and Air kind of like held up a little bit for the month. We didn't get a huge amount done on there just because this happened. It's just a freak real life thing that happens. So anyways, we did do a little bit of Project 2 work, though. Project 2 work did proceed again into the month of February. There was 3 characters that really got done or something. So 2, and then we actually decided on 3rd. So it's moving along bit by bit. We're not pushing for a heavy amount of resources and assets and everything into that right now, just because it's going to take time. It's going to take time to build, but we need to get assets going on that. So it is coming together. We also had some writing updates for Gwen's arc. There were some more edits that went in, trying to get the first little chunk that we're going to release. We are still considering some things for the DLC arcs and how that is going to be released. We are shifting again, trying to consider what's going to be the best option in the long term. We might actually do a split release where we literally make it its own game, and the fact that I think we talked about this in the last year. We talked a little bit more about this in the last month about doing it, the feasibility of it. So we are still investigating a few things in that, while we're also working on the app development for Android and iOS. That is what the brunt of this little report is going to be taken up on what we did in those areas, because that literally was taking quite a bit of time during the month of February as we ran into some issues as we went. So I'm just going to pull up some stuff here, and First of all, I'm just going to share a little thing from Project 2, one of their characters that got more decided. This is Cassia's character. She's one of our heroines in Project 2. And this is just a little bit more along in her character. We got more of the outfit styling that's still kind of being updated on her. Her hairstyle, character overall is coming together really nicely. Two other ones got done. I'm not going to go into those too much this month because we have a lot to talk about on the app development. Now this, if you're here for the art, sorry, this is not going to be as interesting as usual. So we got the M1 Mac. So literally we're going to go through this, and this is nuts. This is what we had to do. I mean, literally we got the M1 MacBook Air last year, because okay, we're going right into Mac OS, iOS development, and here's the whole flowchart. Here's literally what we did, and the best way I could describe this and take you through it is to just kind of go through these like this in Photoshop and kind of like what we had to do. So first of all, we got the M1 MacBook. Think, okay, great. We got our dev build hardware. We can do this. So we first started, okay, let's try to make macOS iOS build because we were having some issues on Android, so let's shift to macOS, let's get that going. And this was the problem we ran into, was that Tyranno's framework. See, when you build the entire build, you set it up, but it has to go into a framework so it can work onto your phone screen. So once you get the framework, you can put it on your phone. And Android, we dealt with this. We got things kind of pretty much worked out, except for the Google Play Store and the fact that Google Play Store is a 150 megabyte limit. So you have to like get a small app that links into the bigger chunk and all that sort of stuff. And it's a hassle. It's a pain in the butt, royal pain in the butt. But Apple, we figured Apple's going to be a little bit nicer, and Apple has been. We say, I mean, Xcode was a lot better to work with. The problem was that the framework's outdated from Tyranno. Tyranno hasn't updated it in a long time. It's actually a Swift 3 framework that they updated, and they're already past Swift 5 right now. So the framework's outdated. Now, when we pulled it up in Xcode and we looked at it, we're like, okay, how do we convert this? What are we going to do? Trouble was we had to convert it with Xcode 10.1, which is macOS El Capitan, which is years ago. And the M1 MacBook will not like downgrade to that older OS because it's a different hardware, and that hardware wasn't existing at that time period. So it's like you cannot go back. So we were in a bind. It was like, M1 Xcode is incompatible. We need to convert it from Swift 3 to Swift 4. If we get it into Swift 4, we can use the M1 MacBook to convert it to the new Swift 5, but we have to get it there. So, thankfully, I mean, we looked through a whole bunch of hassle, all these things, and I reached out to some people. I was like letting a friend of mine know, like, this is our issue, and he's like, I have an old 2009 MacBook Pro, which is this right here. And so he basically donated it to us. So the problem was that it did need a little bit of work. It had sat for like years and years and years. The hard drive was bleh. Thankfully there was like I caught this deal at where did I put the box? I caught a deal at Micro Center back when they were doing their anniversary. And they were giving away like these little SSDs, 240 gig SSDs. You can't use it for much, but I was like, okay, you know what? There's the new hard drive. There's the new replacement for this. So that was literally, I was working on this, trying to bring this old thing up to standard to be able to work. And then of course it's like the MacBook Pro OS, the 2009, which was Snow Leopard, which was on this, it doesn't support Xcode 10.1. It's an older Xcode, and to get it to El Capitan, because this is a 2009 machine, it wasn't supported. Apple's like, well, we're going to drop support. Thankfully, the Mac OS community they're very resourceful. I knew a lot of them from a long time ago because I was a big Mac person myself. back before they switched to Intel stuff. And they make patches, they make everything to force like modern OSs to work on machines that they're not really intended to work on. So forced it to do El Capitan. We got our 10.1, so we were able to convert it to Tierno framework from Swift 3 to Swift 4, and then right on to the MacBook Air, the M1. We got it updated. So all right, we got it. We got our Swift 5 framework. Everything's set. And then we looked at the code, and Apple updated some parts of the code, and it's like, well, this is not going to work. We don't use this thing anymore. You have to change it to this. So what we've been dealing with is just simply changing it over on the code to what is now supported on the new Mac OS. And we have had a test build come up, and it's on the blog report. You can see we have like literally the little simulator thing comes up, and it does show Dust and Air works on iOS, but we have to resolve the other issues with how the UI, because there's like this UI web view thing, and it's changed to WK web view, which is a pain in the butt. We did bring another programmer onto the scene. It's somebody that I had talked with years ago, and I reached out to just to see how he was doing. He was like, yeah, I'm free to work on something. So he was interested in helping. So we kind of tasked this for him. He's been a big help in trying to get this resolved for Mac OS. He does a lot of app stuff himself. So this whole issue has been compounded by the fact that Tierno does not update their Mac OS build. So Tierno Builder literally is 32-bit. If you go to Steam, if you're trying to run it through Mac OS, you're going into the 32-bit version. It hasn't been updated to the 64-bit. And of course that means you have to get an old Mac OS to run it. The problem is if you go back to the old Mac OS to run Tierno Builder, it's literally saying, well, it's too... The installers can't even install because the modern installers are too new. So you're stuck. It's a mess. And there's a lot of people on Tierno Farm saying, hey, when are you guys going to update macOS? When are you guys going to update iOS? They've been quiet about it. We have not been very happy of seeing that. Usually they're very quick, very like on the ball, getting stuff updated. Now, some of the Tierno community did resolve some things. They did figure out how to do this roundabout method. You basically have to install the Japanese version of the Tierno software, which is all in Japanese, and you have to figure out how to migrate the project on the Japanese version. Once you migrate the project, then it exports there just fine. It works on a 64-bit M1 Mac. And so the one big complaint, and one thing I'm dealing with is, I've reached out to Tierno and says, hey, why do we have to do this roundabout way? Why don't you guys patch this and also patch your framework while you're at it? Because we're having to kind of do what they should have already done. So I'm not very happy with it. We should have literally had the iOS coming out in February, because it was looking really good until we hit these walls that are not our own doing. It's Tierno, and we have made some ground. We have gotten some breakthroughs on a few of the code areas, so it's enough that we can say we are going to see it happen. So the iOS build is coming. We also have a late thing at the end of the month. We figured out the Mac OS build going through the Japanese Tierno software, so we kind of got that going. We got to do a bit of testing on that. And the other interesting thing that came up was I was looking into Linux, trying to see if we could do a little build there and like kind of release a Linux build. And there is some potential there. I gotta get another old laptop I can install something on and I can test. So I got to do that. That's probably going to be in March coming up here. Actually, we're already in March right now. This is being taped right now. So that's about it. That's kind of where we're at. That other programmer is going to be looking at the Google Play Store issue, seeing if we can resolve that. We did actually figure out the 150 megabyte little thing and how to kind of load it in and then shift to the actual game development chunk. It's just that when it came up, all of a sudden we had just like black screen and only audio in the backgrounds. It was like Michael, who was working on it, was like, this is weird. Yeah. So we're going to ask, his name is Chris. He's the new programmer that's kind of helping us right now, and he's going to be taking a look at that too in the month of March. Hopefully, we'll see. We're working on iOS first. He's mostly done a lot of stuff with iOS because he's Mac. He's Mac based himself, so we're hopefully going to get that resolved in the month of March. It's looking good, though. We have made some ground. So we'll see how it goes. If you want to get the Android version of the game right now, go to the itch.io store. You'll find it there. For All Is Fair in Dust and Air, we do have the APK up. That's where you manually install it onto your phone, and that's the only way you can kind of get it right now. So aside from that, that's pretty much what we're looking at for the month of February. It was just a lot of dealing with these hassles on the programming side, and I mean, we're really glad for Georgie, really glad for that, for what's going on there. We are reaching out to some more artists and stuff recently, trying to bring things in, trying to kind of speed up the production and start shifting some more jobs onto them. There was some illnesses in some of the artists that we do have, so they weren't able to get to things as much as well in the month of February. It was kind of a weird month how things were trying to shifting here, but anyways, again, special thanks. I just want to say special thanks to Michael Kearns who donated the MacBook Pro. It's an old MacBook Pro, but it helped. It got us to this point, so I'm really appreciative of that and such. And so now we're going to be able to go to the next steps in the month of March. Expecting in the month of March, we should be getting some updates in the month of March. We might also be getting some music updates. I know Gimmon has been working on some stuff. He's been I've seen him tinkering a few times, so hopefully we're going to get some updates on some music for Gwen's Story, Raven's Prayer. Outside of that, that's it for the month of February. Thank you for joining. Thank you for, if you're not a fan of programming, so if you're not a fan of that, then thank you for sitting through this. Aside from that, that'll be it for the month. Thanks for joining, and see you in the skies. Johnny.